So we'll start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are starting with the first module, that is general ledger. So when
Mm-hmm.
we say general ledger, this is an repository of accounting information.
Mm-hmm.
So where we have the subledgers. So subledger is nothing but the place where the actual transactions will take place. So we can say all other modules than the general ledger, we call it as a subledger.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, our AP, AR, FA, project accounting, and the remaining modules. So whatever we have, all those things we call as an subledger module. So
So
whatever,
project accounting also comes in financials?
no, this will not come under financial, but we call this as an subledger module.
Okay.
It
Because
is,
I never heard that. So.
yeah. Even if you see few supply chain things like inventory module, so that we can call as an subledger module.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you see the in purchasing, basically we will do the purchase order and the requisition and the receipt. So
Mm-hmm.
at the level of receipt, we will have the accounting entries generated. So based on that, we will have the reconciliation part between the finance and the SCM as well. So apart from that, we call this subledger model since we transfer few entries from this purchasing model to the general ledger.
Mm-hmm.
So at a high level, whatever transaction we are doing it here in the subledger module, it is being sent to the general ledger module. So apart
Mm-hmm.
from that, we will do few adjustment entries and the manual journal entries, all those things as a part of year-end closure. So
Mm-hmm.
other than this manual entries, whatever transaction we are seeing it in the general ledger module, it is being received from the different modules like AP, AR, FA, and the other modules.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basic. And apart from that, we have a few considerations. Maybe I'll put our ledger. So let's say UHA US ledger.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, we have for our use case, maybe we will say we have two operating unit for each of the offices. I mean, each of the modules.
Mm-hmm.
So here, whatever transaction I'm making in subledger model, I'll be transferring it to general ledger. So
Mm-hmm.
between this subledger and the general ledger, I have something called SLA. So
Mm-hmm.
we are having SLA for the purpose of maintaining as an intermediary, but whereas this is not a specific model. We cannot call this as a general ledger, not the subledger. So this is kind of
Mm-hmm.
an intermediary where we
Mm-hmm.
have, in terms of understanding the technical part of it, we will have the SLA tables and the other things.
Mm-hmm.
So SLA is used for the reconciliation or bridge between the general ledger module and the subledger module.
Mm-hmm.
So here we have different subledgers. So for each subledger, we will have the periods. So apart from this project accounting and the other things, we have periods for AP, AR, and FA.
Mm-hmm.
So here in the FA module, basically once the period is closed, we cannot reopen it. So let's say we didn't run the depreciation for the particular year. Without running it, we have just closed the period because
Mm-hmm.
system will just ask us that whether do we want to run the depreciation and close, or
Mm-hmm.
whether we want to close it directly. So if we select close directly, it will be closed. We cannot reopen and run the depreciation. So
Okay.
we have one thing there. But whereas in the AP and AR models, we can reopen the periods, and unless it is permanently closed, we can reopen the period even for the general ledger modules.
Can I? So AP is where if you close it, you can't open it.
No, AP we can reopen it. Fixed asset module we cannot reopen it.
Oh, fixed asset. Okay. And so the other modules like the PA and purchasing, they don't have any open or close periods.
Yeah, for purchasing we have in the EBS, but in Fusion we don't have open and close periods.
Okay.
Yeah, so here we don't have. So mostly we will have only for the AP, AR, and FA.
Mm-hmm. Just give me a second. Can you give me just a minute? I
Yeah,
need to let my dog out.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is on the subledger model. So we saw another point also that while we are constructing or building the ledger structure for our organization, we should also keep in mind that the document sequence or the voucher number generation will be always based on the ledger. So if you wanted to have the operating unit specific document number generation, then it should be based on that. Like maybe two operating unit will have the same sequencing. So for those cases, what we can do is that we can have the same ledger for two operating unit so that we can accommodate our document sequencing part. And apart
Okay.
from that, choosing the subledgers. So if we are closing the periods at headquarters, maybe we
Mm-hmm.
have a business where all the activities will be controlled by the head office, maybe kind of a centralized business. So for
Mm-hmm.
those cases, we can have one ledger and we can have maybe multiple operating units. But there
Mm-hmm.
are few offices where it is being decentralized. For those
Mm-hmm.
cases, we cannot have one ledger and apply for all the operating unit. For those cases, we need to create a multiple ledger and the legal entity based on the registration what we have. So that is the
Okay.
consideration that we have it here while we are defining the ledger structure.
Okay. So what is that? Can you repeat that again? So if we have a one ledger and let's say we have AP module and two operating units.
Yeah,
So you said you have to use the document sequence of that ledger, that particular ledger for both the operating units if we want the same document sequence.
yeah, yes, correct. So if the location, let's say two operating units are there, business unit. So for the two business unit, we are maintaining one ledger.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, what we can do is that two operating unit will have the same combination of document sequence generation. So maybe we will have this two business unit operating in maybe New York.
Mm-hmm.
So for this case, we can generate the same document sequence for this two BUs. And we have another office in California. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
for this we have three business units. So
Mm-hmm.
here we can define based on the same sequence. Like we can say CAL and maybe we can start the sequencing from 1001. So similarly, the
Mm-hmm.
document sequence will keep on generating. And
Mm-hmm.
again here to generate the document sequence, so basically we have two options. Whether we will have it till end of our software life cycle, which means the sequence will not be terminated at any point, or we
Mm-hmm.
can renew at the end of the period. Like I will have this sequence CAL
Mm-hmm.
1001,
Mm-hmm.
till this financial year. So after this,
Okay.
maybe I can create it again a new sequence, or maybe I can create the same sequence also.
Okay. But do companies prefer that?
Yeah, mostly companies prefer to renew it. Kind of, we will have this only till this financial year. So for the
Oh,
next
is that the
financial,
general norm?
it is not general now, but it is standard practice that is being followed. The reason for that is that we will have year-end closure and the auditing and the other things. So
Mm-hmm.
for those purpose, we have this. So this document sequencing number, we call
Mm-hmm.
this as an voucher number. So apart from this, so we
Mm-hmm.
have the invoice number. So along with the invoice number, we have the voucher number also. So this
Mm-hmm.
voucher number is being matched with the multiple transactions for the
Mm-hmm.
reconciliation purpose. So that is
Mm-hmm.
the reason they will maintain only for the particular financial year. So again for the next financial, they will renew it, but it is
Okay.
not universal to all the companies, but most of the companies prefers to have financial year.
Okay. And this you're talking specifically for AP
Yeah, this
or
is for AP, but the similar setup will be there for the AR as well.
okay. I
So
mean, what I meant to say is in AP they change the document setup once a year. I mean,
yeah,
like, end of financial year.
yeah,
Does it happen even in AR?
yeah, same thing, it will happen in AR
Okay.
also. Yeah, yeah, same process. Similarly, we will have for GL as well. So how we will define this is that we will have application, and we
Mm-hmm.
will have the ledger, and we
Mm-hmm.
will have the financial year to map it. So these are the three
Mm-hmm.
combinations that we will have.
Okay.
Yeah. And apart from that, opening and closing of the period, so that we have seen. So these are the considerations that we will have before creating any ledger
Mm-hmm.
in order to form a structure for our company.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then we will have the legal entity. So, legal entity is nothing but a legal registration where a company has registered. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
have maybe 100 operating units as well, but where I have registered this company. So, unless I registered somewhere, I cannot do
Mm-hmm.
my business. So, this
Mm-hmm.
is kind of an complaint spot, this legal entity.
Mm-hmm.
So, we are doing this. Yesterday, we were seeing this intra and intra transfer and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things happen on the basis of legal entity creation or the setup that we have given it here in this initial configuration.
Mm-hmm.
And here if you see the balancing segment value, so this is nothing but the actual company code. So if you remember yesterday's
Yeah, yeah.
this thing, so we created
Mm-hmm.
this balancing segment company. So this is
Mm-hmm.
what we are saying BSP.
Mm-hmm.
So for this LE, maybe I will use this LE for operating unit 1, and maybe I can use this for operating unit 2, and this
Mm-hmm.
for operating unit 3. Similarly, inside the same legal entity, maybe I will have another operating unit. Some I might say operating
Mm-hmm.
unit 3 will, I mean 4 will have 1003. So
Mm-hmm.
this is how we are defining it. So in this
Okay.
case, it will be between these two legal entities, I mean balancing segment value, it will be intra, and
Mm-hmm.
between two of these things, it will be intercompany transaction.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our basic thing. And
Okay.
apart from that, we have this value set. So value set is nothing but it is kind of a repository for the values that what we can select while doing the transaction. So
Mm-hmm.
when we are creating an invoice in the AP, so we
Mm-hmm.
will give the header line and the other information of the supplier, invoice date, and the other things. So apart from
Mm-hmm.
that, we will select the account code combination. So account code combination is nothing but what we are giving it here in our structure.
Mm-hmm.
So the values that we are defining it is based on the logic what we have given it here. So in this
Okay.
case, we have selected independent.
Mm-hmm.
So when it is an independent, so which means this will be always a single value. Again, here we have another thing called parent and child. So we saw
Mhm.
other thing also, like we have parent and child. So this is the
Mhm.
parent for this one, and 1,000 will be parent for the 100. So
Mhm.
always we will do transaction on 100. So when I'm creating an AP invoice, I will not
Mhm.
create an invoice with 10,000 or 1,000. Instead, I will choose with, I will create transaction with 100.
Mhm.
So this defines that this is an independent combination. So which means I don't need to depend on any other value. So unless I
Okay.
select that, I'll not be able to select this account code combination. So that is the
Mhm.
difference. So
Mhm.
similarly, I'll load for all the values. So
Okay.
once this is loaded, so basically we can create manually for department, intercompany and company. But account code combination, we will be loading using the Excel sheet. So we will see like how it has been loaded. But before
Mhm.
loading that, before downloading the Excel sheet, so where will we find this template? So basically template, we will find it from the Oracle repository.
Okay.
We will find it from Oracle repository. So from the repository, we can search for chart of account values load. So from there, we
Mhm.
will get the things. And before that, we will have to do the mapping. So mapping in the sense, we will have a legacy system. Maybe even
Mhm.
it might be a simple open source .NET based system, but still they will
Mhm.
have account code combination. So let's
Mhm.
take some example. So maybe in our case, let's take the premium collection. So
Mhm.
premium collection account code combination may be 2391. So this is for the premium collection.
Mhm.
So similarly, against this particular combination, we need to have a mapping in the Oracle Finance Fusion. So maybe
Mhm.
we can design that we will have the same four-digit combination, or we can suggest that we can have the six-digit combination if they want to track maybe the location wise or the based on the other details if they want to track. So we can suggest that accordingly we can maintain our masters as well. Maybe we can say 239100. So similarly we can have it. So we will
Mhm.
map this as a premium collection.
Mhm.
So similarly, we will build for all the account code combination that we have. So this includes both our core and non-core transaction. So core is which is related to the insurance, and non-core is something non-insurance related business.
Mhm.
So we will do mapping for all those accounts that we have it in our legacy. So once
Mhm.
this is mapped, so we will have all those things ready with us. So after mapping this account code, we will design that what would be the parent. So it is again an optional. It's not mandatory that we should have a parent. So if we
Mhm.
have parent, we can use it at certain places like in terms of generating the financial statement. So when we are
Mhm.
generating the financial statement like balance sheet and the other reports, so basically we will have something called the total liabilities and total asset and the other columns. So there,
Mhm.
instead of giving multiple formulas, so what we can do is that we can define a parent account and we can map with the child account. So if you see in this example, we have total liabilities as an parent account. So what I can do is that I can directly pick this 10,000 account instead of picking 100 liability accounts like accounts payable. I can pick one account and I can just derive the balance for this total liability. So that is the advantage in having the parent account.
Okay. I think while doing this, I may get a little understanding more. At this point, it's like, okay, there's too much going on.
Okay. Okay, fine. Maybe we'll see. Okay, fine. So that's what at high level. So this is what we have it in terms of defining and understanding. So while we are taking up the requirement, so we will
Mhm.
consider all these combinations like the legacy and what it should be in the Oracle Fusion, and
Mhm.
whether we need to have the parent and child combination, or we will have a different combination like we have four digit in legacy, but whereas we are suggesting six digit in fusion. So similarly,
Yeah, why did you say we needed 6 digit? Let's assume, I mean, just throwing out there.
yeah.
Uh,
So in this case, so we have 2391. So I'm taking
mm-hmm,
the same combination, that is 2391, and
mm-hmm.
I'm selecting two combination here. So one is
Yes.
product and the other one is location. So I can give
Oh,
a numbering here. So
okay.
this is for example I'm saying. So
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
yeah. So similarly I can differentiate it. So maybe I might have 100 location also. So on those
Mm-hmm,
cases the numbering might increase.
mm-hmm.
So I can
Okay.
map it. So that is the reason we are giving it. So it's not mandatory that this is how we will do.
Mm-hmm,
So we can suggest to have it as a segment, but
mm-hmm.
we can suggest this way also if client doesn't want to have maybe 6 7 segments, because it will
Okay.
again add a data entry problem. Like user need to keep on entering something to create one
Uh-huh.
segment. Yeah.
Okay.
So for those cases, we can suggest this way that we can manage it in the account value level.
Okay.
So similarly, we can suggest. So this is on the chart of accounts.
Mm-hmm,
So we created value set yesterday,
mm-hmm,
and we created the chart of accounts. So that is with the 4 segments.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So we saw the chart of account instance also. So instance is something that if I wanted to have only the 3 segments, I can have it. That is, I
mm-hmm,
will have company account and maybe department.
mm-hmm,
I will leave this intercompany transaction because I will not be using it anyway. And again, intercompany transaction, it is not that all companies will use it.
mm-hmm.
It depends company to company whether they wanted to take inside. So mostly companies will use intercompany transaction, but few will prefer to not to take it into uh, Oracle
Just
Fusion.
okay.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah, because they will have two applications. So if you see here in our case, maybe I'll say what I have seen. So
Mm-hmm,
in core application, basically what they will do is that they have something called IoT. So IoT is nothing but intra transfer. So in this
mm-hmm,
intra transfer, they will do in the core application. So after
mm-hmm.
they do IoT transfer and other payments, so what they will do is that they will send only for the payment to the Oracle.
Okay.
So this intercompany transaction will be created in the source system or the core application. So it will be sent only for the payment purpose. So the other case
Okay.
is that only the core transaction like booking the policy will happen in core application, and apart
Mm-hmm.
from that, the financial transaction will happen in our Oracle Fusion. On
Okay.
those cases, what will happen is that even the invoices will be created only in the Oracle Fusion. But
Okay.
in the first case, if you see, the invoice will be created only in the core application. But whereas only as a payment request, it will be received in Oracle, so that we will be able to process this as a batch. But whereas in the core application, we might have a complicated system where we will need to do a multi-process to process the payment. But in
Mm-hmm.
OF, it is just a PPR method, the payment batch, so where it
Mm-hmm.
will be sent directly to the bank server.
Okay.
So maybe for those cases, customer might prefer not to take intercompany.
Okay.
So similarly, the requirement might change based on the system what they have and what are the features that we are giving.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw the segments and we saw the chart of accounts and the instance also. So apart from that,
Mm-hmm.
we have 4 C's. So 4C is nothing but currency, and then we have calendar, and we have chart of accounts,
Chart of account.
and we have accounting convention. So accounting convention is nothing but it defines that how we wanted to create our accounting entries. So let's say we have an requirement that I have a customer. So
Mm-hmm.
for this customer, so when I'm booking an invoice only with this particular customer, instead of
Mm-hmm.
having or picking this account code combination, maybe I'll say 1001 dot
Mm-hmm.
maybe 2371, and the department would be 34234,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe I would say again the intercompany would be 0001. So this is the normal combination that system will generate. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
seeing this combination, if I want to see a different combination where the department would be 435 instead of 234, it would be
Mm-hmm.
435. So what we
Mm-hmm.
will do is that we will customize this particular accounting convention. So it will be
Mm-hmm.
standard accrual.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly it will be standard accrual. So but still we have the other option like cash basis accounting and the standard accrual. So the only difference between standard accrual and cash basis is that cash basis is something that we will give money and we will receive the goods. So we
Mm-hmm.
don't have the concept of accrual. Like it will be always the immediate payment. So either
Okay.
buying or selling. So that is what
Mm-hmm.
we call cash basis accounting.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be applicable for small scale business like maybe the stationery shop and the other things. But
Mm-hmm.
apart from that, if we see as a company, it will be always standard accrual, where we will have a set of payment terms.
Mm-hmm.
So this payment terms might be 30 days or
Mm-hmm.
maybe 7 days. It depends on the terms
Mm-hmm.
that we agree with the supplier.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say that there is a payment term uh, things is involved in this particular transaction, which means this is an accrual. Because what I will
Mm-hmm.
do is that, so in this accrual process, so what will happen is that I'll raise a purchase order, or maybe before that I'll raise a requisition. So
Mm-hmm.
requisition will be converted into purchase order.
Mm-hmm.
My purchase order will contain maybe some item of 10 quantities.
Mm-hmm.
So I might order this purchase order on maybe 4th of October, I would say, and I'm receiving the item on 10th of October. So I'm not receiving it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And again here I'm not receiving all the 10 items. Instead I'm receiving maybe 8 items.
Mm-hmm.
So still I have 2 items to be received maybe in the future days based on the manufacturing capacity of the vendor.
Mm-hmm.
So I have received only the 8. So what I have did is that ordered quantity is 10 and received quantity is 8. So in this
Mm-hmm.
case, if you see, this is an accrual. So which means the process hasn't completed and something is yet to be happened.
Mm-hmm.
So this we call accrual. So which means I have ordered for some amount of quantity, but this hasn't invoiced it. So which means I have received the item, but I haven't created a physical copy of invoice to the vendor.
Mm-hmm.
So for those cases, what we would say that accrual accounting. So
Mm-hmm.
once we have received this item and we have created an invoice, the
Mm-hmm.
system will generate a liability. So which means I have received so and so item, so I'm liable to pay to customer, I mean supplier.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm making this payment, so my liability will knock off, and I would say that I have paid all my dues and this has cleared, and now I can book another purchase order with my vendor. So this is what we are calling as an accrual based accounting entries.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the general difference between cash and standard accrual. And apart from that, we have the chart of accounts. So chart of accounts, we saw that there are segments and the combination.
Mm-hmm.
And we have calendar. So calendar might be a normal calendar. So that is US calendar where we have from January to December. And the other calendar we have is that physical that will start from 1st of April
Feb.
to 31st of March.
Oh, 1st of April to 31st of
31st,
March. Oh.
yeah, 31st of March.
There's one that actually starts from Feb, right?
Feb, I think that should be Singapore. I'm not sure, but it should
No,
be.
even US they had Feb in JC Penney when I was working.
Okay.
They had Feb to Jan. That was called
Yeah, that's
the
what the period will start from Jan. Okay, Feb to Jan.
yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry.
Maybe because what I have seen is that the periods will start from January to December.
Yeah, I mean, typically it's Jan to December, but some companies have it as Feb. From
Okay.
Feb they start. It depends. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the normal calendar. Apart from that, we have physical calendar that will start from 1st of April to 31st of March.
Hmm.
So these are the two combinations that we have it in calendar. And then we have currency. So currency, it has two things. So one is that functional currency and the foreign currency.
Hmm.
So functional currency is something our ledger currency. So let's take in our case, our ledger is created in US as a current
US.
country base. So for this case, it would be USD.
Hmm.
So foreign currency would be something that I would be having vendors from maybe India, Europe, or some other country.
Hmm.
So maybe India, I'm having some transaction. So INR would be my foreign currency.
Hmm.
So here, why do we need to capture this foreign currency and the functional currency is that so we have something called the rate for the daily rate.
Hmm.
So we have corporate and then we have spot and then we have user defined rates.
Hmm.
So corporate is nothing but a general, based on the terms and conditions, we will have a fixed rate for it. And
Hmm.
spot is something that based on the market trends and all those things, the currencies will be updated. And
Hmm.
user is something that user can define it at the time of transaction. So these are the three different things. So
Hmm.
why do we need this and what is the impact of having the currency is that let's take an example that I'm doing a transaction on 4th of October.
Hmm.
So the currency value today is that 70 rupees, maybe exactly 70 rupees, I would say.
Hmm.
And I make another transaction on 8th of October. So on this
Hmm.
date, this would be like 71.68.
Hmm.
And I would make another transaction on 25th of October. So on this date, it would be maybe 70.50.
Hmm.
So if I see at the end of the period, so there are two ways of calculating whether this is a gain or loss to the company.
Yes.
Because
Hmm.
if you see, I have booked an invoice on 4th of October, but it is not mandatory that I'll make payment exactly on the 4th of October, since I have the payment terms and the other things. If you see
Hmm.
here, we have 7 to 30 days of payment term. So I
Hmm.
will not make exactly on the same date. So if it is a
Hmm.
30 days, so which means I'm not going to make the payment on 4th of October. Instead, I'll make payment on 4th of November. So on
Hmm.
November, we should see what is the exact currency rate is there. So based on that, what we will say is that whether this is an gain or loss to the company.
Hmm.
So to define this, we have something called realized gain and we have something called unrealized gain.
Unrealized.
So realized gain is something that after making the payment, we can calculate that whether this is a gain or loss to the company.
Hmm.
Unrealized gain is something that I haven't made the payment, but still I will calculate the profit or loss. So that is the
Okay.
difference between.
Hmm.
So here we will again have two components to this. So one is that currency gain or loss that we are calculating. That is what we say conversion.
Hmm.
And apart from conversion, we have something called revaluation and we have
Hmm.
something called translation.
Hmm.
So revaluation is nothing but revaluing our accounts or the currency balances on a particular
Hmm.
given period for the balance sheet accounts. So if we are
Okay.
calculating this, so which means we are calculating and based on our calculation, system will generate and journal entries.
Hmm.
So which will state whether this is a profit or loss. So in our case, maybe let's consider our currency value at end of the period. is 70 rupees. So on this case, if you see for 4th of October transaction, this is
Mm-hmm.
not a gain or not a loss. And
Mm-hmm.
if you see here, so currency value is 71. So if we have paid this particular invoice on 8th of October, so which
It's a
means,
loss.
yeah, it's a loss for us. So maybe I would say another transaction. So that is for 68. So for those cases, it is a gain for us for 2 rupees. So that
Mm-hmm.
is how we will identify. So we will report all this revaluation, conversion, translation is in our trial balance.
Okay.
So trial balance will have balances for each account.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, we will have the realized gain, unrealized gain account and all those accounts reported here. So based
Okay.
on that, we will derive whether we have made improvements in our financial standpoint.
Okay.
So this is how the foreign currency and the functional currency differentiation will help us in terms of understanding our profitability of the business or maybe
Mm-hmm.
loss of the business as well.
Okay.
So this is what currency. So these are the four C's that is mandatory for us to create the ledger. So
Mm-hmm.
now we have created chart of accounts and
Mm-hmm.
we have the currencies already defined by Oracle. So we don't need to do anything. So when we take
Mm-hmm.
the fresh instance, already we will have the set of currencies defined.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe few cases, if the particular currency is not enabled, maybe we can enable it. But by default, it will be enabled. So we can
Mm-hmm.
just verify and we can attach our currency in the ledger
Okay.
and calendar that we need to create based on the requirement.
Mm-hmm.
A chart of account we have already created, and again the accounting convention, unless we have a special requirement to
Mm-hmm.
customize our accounting flow. So in our one case, we saw that we wanted to have 435 instead of creating 234 for the particular department or the particular customer.
Mm-hmm.
So unless we have this requirement, we will not customize our subledger. So which means our subledger will be standard accrual by default. So
So why would they want it customized? Let's assume you, as you said, right, 435.
yeah,
Why would somebody want it to, be different from what's there in the combination?
yeah, because here if you see there are multiple departments involved. So if I don't want to have or if I don't want to see this transaction to be handled by a specific department, what I would
Mm-hmm.
say is that I wanted to see this particular department to be generated instead of having this particular combination.
Okay. So you're
So
basically changing where it has to go.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
where which department it should reflect.
Okay.
So based on that, we will have. So again, the customizing the account combination, it's not usual. So it is again based on the requirement. But we cannot say that we will not have. So we
Mm-hmm.
might have.
Okay.
So if at all we are having those requirements, then we can have this.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, so once we have created the ledger, so we have something called cross validation rule,
Mm-hmm.
and we have something called security rule.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the difference between cross-validation rule? Before that, what this both will do? Basically, it will restrict user to access particular account code combination.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say we have this combination that is 1002371. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't want this particular user to
Mm-hmm.
access this department called 234. So what I would say is that I will define this in security rule. Because
Okay.
what is the difference between a cross validation rule and the security rule is that security rule will apply for the entire chart of accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas,
I
cross
mean,
validation rule, yeah,
cross validation.
yeah. But whereas security rule, this applies for a particular
User.
responsibility or the user.
Okay.
Either way, it will apply. So this is the basic difference between both the restrictions. So based on
Mhm.
the requirement, we might restrict either at the security level or the cross-validation level.
Okay.
So these are the two things that we have. So maybe with this, we can start creating the transaction. And
Okay.
apart from that, business might ask that we don't wanted to have a manual journal entries. So we
Mhm.
wanted to have everything to be created in the respective subledger module. Because what will happen when we give the manual journal entry creation is that
Mhm.
user can create any adjustment entries.
Mhm.
So it might lead to misbalance. So what will happen is that instead of entering the amount for 1,000, I can
Mhm.
enter 10,000 and maybe I can write an adjustment entry to for around 900. So which means
Mhm.
I will see when I take the trial balance report, still I will be seeing the same 100. I will not
Mhm.
seeing the 900 that I have created it here. So
Mhm.
for those purpose, what business might need is that they might ask us to restrict the journal entries.
Okay.
So this we can give it at account level. So when we
Mhm.
are defining the natural account,
Mhm.
I mean the accounts basically. So we have an option that allow posting, allow budgeting. Similarly, we have an option whether we wanted to allow the manual journal entries. So there
Okay.
we can restrict it. So the
Okay.
other
So which
way,
means when if you restrict, you cannot enter any manual journals.
yeah, yes,
But
correct.
don't companies usually enter manual journals? I mean, not always, but sometimes they do, right?
Yeah, they might do. So that is what I'm saying. So we have two things to this. So we can restrict at farm level. So farm level restriction or the menu level restriction is something that I cannot even enter any journal entries for a particular
Mhm.
given user. The
Mhm.
other way of restriction is that account level restriction. So account level restriction in the sense, so whatever the
Mhm.
accounts that will be dealt in subledger module, maybe for
Mhm.
example liability account. So
Mhm.
for the liability account, I cannot create any transaction in GL. But
Okay.
whereas I can create an adjustment entry, maybe I would say period and activities. So for those cases, I
Oh,
might,
adjustments you can enter. Okay.
yeah. So I can give only access for a few account code combination. But whereas I will restrict the other most of the accounts that will be used in the subledger module.
Okay.
So that way we can restrict it.
Okay.
Okay. So this is at a high level, like the chart of accounts and the ledger creation, legal entities, and this thing.
Mhm.
Okay. So we will see in application. So yesterday we created, yeah, yesterday we created the chart of account. So I have cleared it, and now we can see that it has been deployed. So
Mhm.
if this is in green mark, so which means it is deployed. So I'll just go to create calendar.
Mhm. So Arun, do you have notes other than the ones that you sent me? You have more notes on the GL?
Yeah, yeah, I'll send you. I thought I will send after a class because
Yeah, yeah. No, no.
these
I mean,
days, yeah,
I'm just curious if you have. I need those notes.
yeah, yeah. I thought I'll share after all the class because if we send everything at a shot,
No, no. Don't send everything at a
yeah,
time. Anyway, for me, it's overwhelming anyway. So
yeah, that's what. You'll get bored and you'll not see. So that is
first of all, I won't even look at them afterwards if it's too much.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll send the notes after the class.
Hey, Arun, I have a request.
Yeah,
So once you show me how, I mean, this GL thing you're showing me now, right?
yeah, yeah.
Once you're done, can you also share with me what kind of processes you do on a daily basis in GL, that kind of stuff?
I mean, in configuration part or the supporting or in which aspect, like.
Like normally let's say in your company, you're working there, right? Normally, what kind of activities do you do
Yeah,
in terms
basically,
of GL?
Yeah,
I mean, afterwards, you don't have to tell me right now, but what I'm saying is, if you can tell me exactly what kind of reports you
yeah,
focus on mostly, and what kind of things that, what kind of processes you actually focus on.
yeah.
Something to give me relation with the new, I mean, day-to-day business kind of a thing.
Okay. I mean, you're asking in terms of supporting or in terms of implementation.
You tell me both ways.
Okay. Uh, in terms of supporting, basically what I will do is that I'll do most of the debugging activities and how to map it, and I might
Okay.
have new requirement coming in.
Uh-huh.
So maybe, and apart from that, there are few other activities at the end of the period. So what I will do?
Yeah, the close period, that's one thing which I'm always on the IT side, so the business always says what is it? Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
closing. They keep
yeah,
saying, what is that closing? What is involved in that? So that kind of a thing.
yeah, yeah, sure. So when we are closing the period, so basically we have few considerations to make. So here we have two kind of closure. So one is period closure, which is month end closure, and
Mm-hmm.
apart from that we have year end closure. So
Mm-hmm.
for period closure again we might have few exceptions. So exceptions like we have certain sequence to be followed in Oracle. So which means
Mm-hmm.
I create an invoice. So I'm just saying for example. So I
Mm-hmm.
create an invoice and I make the payment. So I cannot directly make the payment. I mean, I cannot directly account for the payment before making the accounting entry for invoice. So
Mm-hmm.
this will interrupt the sequence that Oracle has created. So this might create an issue here. So this will
Mm-hmm.
add up in the sequence. I mean, exception. So this is one
Mm-hmm.
part.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part to it is that let's take another example where we have two things. So one is the primary ledger, and also we have the secondary ledger. So
Mm-hmm.
unless we have the periods opened in the secondary ledger also, we will not be able to post the transaction. So this will again add up in the exception. So
Okay.
the other issue, maybe we can say that we have invoices created in the primary ledger. The same invoice, it will be reported in the secondary ledger as well. So in this
Mm-hmm.
case, so unless there is a relation setup, so we will always have an issue that the primary ledger account, I mean, unless we account this transaction in the primary ledger, we will not be able to account it in the secondary ledger. So similarly, we will have lot of exception inside this particular module, maybe AP, AR, and the other module.
Yeah, tell me all this at the end.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Not now. It's too much for me right now. So
Yeah, yeah,
let's go with the basics and
yeah, yeah.
then
So that's why
at
I
the
stopped
end.
only with three. Yeah. So similarly, we will have lot of exceptions. So two ways
Okay.
of handling the exceptions. So one is clearing the exception. So this
Mm-hmm.
is again few issues will be based on the business decision whether they wanted to clear it now or they wanted to have it maybe next month or maybe next quarter. So that is
Mm-hmm.
again based on the business decision because
Mm-hmm.
payment will not be done immediately. So we cannot expect to cleared by the
Mm-hmm.
finance department immediately. So this is again their decision whether they are
Yeah.
making the payment now or maybe the next month. So few things
Mm-hmm.
will be business decision, and the other things
Mm-hmm.
we can suggest that we can clear this up. So
Mm-hmm.
so there are two ways. One is to clear the exception, and the other is to sweep. So sweep is nothing but we will sweep this particular accounting to the next month. So when
Okay.
we sweep this particular transaction, so this will be falling under the first day of the next period.
Mm-hmm.
So similarly, we can keep on sweeping. So what will happen is that when we are making the actual payment, we will clear this particular accounting entry.
Okay.
So these are the basic two ways that we will be dealing with. So this is
Okay.
what we call period closure support. So this is
Mm-hmm.
for the month end. So
Mm-hmm.
apart from that, we have for the period end as well. So what
Mm-hmm.
we will do in period end is that we have something called year end processing.
Mm-hmm.
So for year end processing, we will run two reports. One is create balance sheet and the other is create P&L. So
Mm-hmm.
when we run this report, so system what it will do is that it will pick all the P&L account and it will place in the return earnings. So once we
Mhm.
close this particular period, we need to
Mhm.
reverse this particular journal entry on the first day of next period,
Mhm.
so that all the return earnings account balances what it has been transferred from the P&L, it will go back to the respective P&L account, and we will have the proper accounts to be seen or proper PV to be seen by the financial analyst.
Mhm.
So this is the difference between our year end and period end. More
Month
than the
end.
period end, yeah, yes, month end. So more than
Mhm.
the month end, we have more issue on year end closure, because year end they will have to pass few entries and the other things. So that
Mhm.
is why we have this adjusting period in the
Uh-huh.
calendar. So adjusting
Mhm.
period is something that if you want to pass any journal entries and all those things. So apart
Okay.
from that, we have other option called future and trouble period. So future and trouble period is something that I can create the journal entries, but I will not be able to post the journal entries. So which means,
Mhm.
let's say 31st is my period closure. So I have
Mhm.
identified or I have done all the reconciliation and the other activities. So now
Mhm.
if I want to close the period immediately without any issues, I'll make all the arrangements and I will keep the accounting entries open
Mhm.
for the period. I mean, that is on the 31st of so and so period, next month or something. So
Mhm.
once this is ready, after opening the period, what I will do is that I'll just pass the accounting entry. I will post the entry so that it
Mhm.
will make my job easier. Then I will wait for the next period to open and then I will create everything and then I will post it. So this is an
Okay.
additional pressure for me. So this way
Mhm.
I can manage my time. So
Mhm.
that is what we call future and trouble period.
Okay.
So these are the two ways of having it. So basically, period and support, if you see, these are the activities that we will be doing. And
Mhm.
apart from that, there will be a few issues that uh, uh, end user will be reporting to us. So maybe, for example, I could say that instead of marking a particular account as a liability,
Mhm.
I might have been marked this as an asset account. So which means
Okay.
the nature of accounts has changed entirely. So
Mhm.
in this case, what will happen is that the entire accounting flow will be changed.
Mhm.
So to get all these things to back to the track, I need to change this asset account to the liability account, which is the correct nature of account.
Mhm.
So since I have the open transaction created with this account, I cannot directly create this. Even Oracle will not allow us to create directly.
Mhm.
So in this case, we might need Oracle support as well in terms of getting the data fix.
Mhm.
So what this data fix will do is that it will basically create a script in backend and it will push
Mhm.
the transactions whatever is open here and it will push them. So before this, we will have few prerequisites for this. So
Mhm.
prerequisite would be like I wanted to close all the open transactions because I
Mhm.
might created an invoice with this particular account. So I cannot
Mhm.
just go back and change to liability account since the transactions are open here. So what
Mhm.
I need to do is that I need to close this account with making the payment. So this is
Mhm.
again the business call, but still we will suggest that if this needs to be done, then we
Mhm.
need to close the invoices. So after closing the invoice, what we will do is that we will run this particular data fits given by Oracle. Then we will
Mhm.
then we will change it to liability, the actual account nature, and then we will run the trial balance and verify.
So
So
who does this one? Is this the technical person or the functional person?
no, this will be done by functional person. So mostly it will
Okay.
be functional because this is nothing but running and script. So you
Okay.
can just copy paste the script and you can click run. So this is the easy job actually. So it will be mostly done by functional consultant.
Okay.
Because technical persons, if you ask them to write the query or modify the query so that they can do it, but
Mhm.
to run the query that we can do by ourselves.
Okay.
So similarly, so there are a few issues that we might need Oracle support and few issues that we can handle by ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So apart from that, we might get change request saying that I need so and so functionality in the system. So it might be easier to achieve it. Some cases it might take time, like the
Mm-hmm.
SLA customization.
Mm-hmm.
So we might need to configure and test. So these are the things that we will be doing in the support projects basically.
Okay.
And apart from that, we have implementation project. So in implementation project, our work will be a bit higher than compared to the support project.
Mm-hmm.
Because support, if you see, it is work will be only on the month end, and apart from that, we have daily few works here and there in day-to-day
Mm-hmm.
activities.
Mm-hmm.
But whereas implementation, if you see, we have starting from the requirement gathering till
Mm-hmm.
we go live, we will always have one or the other work.
Yeah.
It is like starting from getting the requirement, and we will discuss with the user and the business user, and
Mm-hmm.
we should document it and the approval for the documentation. So once the
Mm-hmm.
requirement is frozen, and then we will plan for the to be process. So
Mm-hmm.
how it will be worked out in Oracle. So
Mm-hmm.
that again we will discuss and how to get to a solution design document and all those things. So after this is done, then we will configure in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So once the configuration is done, then we will have the testing part. So again,
Mm-hmm.
here we will have multiple integration points as well, like with the banks and the other applications. So at least
Mm-hmm.
to make the payments, we will need bank support. So we will need this integration point. So again, to the
Okay.
technical consultant, functional consultants are the one who will explain like how to be done.
Mm-hmm.
So they will write only query, but the functionalities and how to do and all those things we should explain to technical consultant.
Okay.
So this is still the solutioning part. So
Mm-hmm.
after solutioning, we will configure and then we will test it. After that, we will take it to user for a first level of verification, and then we will have the CRP 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
So after this is done, then maybe based on that, we will work on this feedback, and then we'll do the data migration activity, and then we will plan for the final go live. So after go live, again we will have the supporting. So this will be handled entirely by the functional consultant.
Okay.
So in this case, I don't know about MNC thing. So MNC we will have a few consultants, but if you
Mm-hmm.
take a middle level company where we will have only one consultant. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm into specific project, so I'll be the
Mm-hmm.
only finance consultant that I'll be handling this. So apart from me, I'll have my manager. Maybe he can assist me in smaller aspects. But apart from
Oh, so it's just you who does the entire thing. No wonder you have so much
that,
knowledge of this. Because usually it's not like that here. Most of
okay,
the companies that I've seen, it's like you have multiple consultants.
okay,
So, I mean, each person will be handling each module or different things like that. So,
yeah, yeah,
nobody gets to do everything.
yeah. It's like
If it's a one man show, then your experience is exponential.
and
Because you get to do everything and you learn everything in one shot.
yeah, that is how actually the initial companies. I mean, small companies will start. Even I started my career in small company. So where I
Yeah, I
used to
mean, see,
do,
that's why you get that knowledge, right?
yeah,
When you do everything, you know it. But when you do bits and pieces, it's like, as I said, you'll be a master of none. So jack of all trades, master of none. You'll have everything bits and pieces.
yeah. So
So,
that is why
yeah.
I'm able to relate the supply chain part and these things
You
actually.
see, that's why I'm not able to relate to anything. Mine everywhere, one. I put my hand in one thing, put my hand in the other thing, nothing in full. So, okay, got it. So, yeah, let's go ahead with this basics first.
Okay.
And then once you're done, I think I'll work with you separately
Okay.
in the sense like you teach me. You're my guru now.
No problem.
You teach me what documents to fill, or if you have anything, just pass it on to me. Think I'm your assistant. Let me
No
see what
problem.
I can do.
No problem.
That way, I'll kind of have an hands on kind of an experience.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
not true hands on, at least something I can relate to.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So we will try to load a few values. So I'll just show the manual addition.
Hmm.
So while we are creating the ledger, we will see that how to load it using the spreadsheet.
Hmm. So you're using OUM
Yeah,
documentation?
yeah,
Okay.
we are using OEM. So basically for Fusion, mostly people are using OEM. So AIM is used mostly for the EBS actually.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
even when I was there in EBS, I was using AIM methodology.
Well, I didn't have to do any documentation because I was mostly on the testing side.
Okay.
So
I think again instances. Actually, we got another instance, but even that is bit slow actually.
hmm.
Yeah, this is different instance.
So this instance is being provided by Oracle directly?
Yeah, this is provided by Oracle. If you see, we can identify with this like Oracle demos. So which means
Yeah.
it is provided by Oracle.
No, no. What I'm saying is Oracle selling rent monthly? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they will give it for a monthly. You can take from Oracle for 3 months, 6 months.
Oh,
But cost-wise, it will be little higher actually.
of course.
It will be like per month almost 5,000 or 6,000, I think.
I have to put somewhere some machine. Boy, this is very slow.
Uh, Actually, this is different instance, and we took another one.
Yeah.
Even this is little slow. I think the internet is the problem.
Oh, maybe the internet. That's fine. It's okay. So I know you basically go there, add the plus sign, and keep adding the company numbers there, right?
Yeah, yes,
And then you save it and close it, and then you move on to the other one. Yeah, you
yeah.
basically add that.
So here maybe if we have parent, maybe the parent account code combination, so that we can give it here. So if we select summary as yes, so which means this is a parent. So this should have an child value to this.
So why would you want a child and a parent here?
So let's take we have five companies that we are dealing. So these five companies will be managed by parent company. So for those cases, what we will do is that we will say thousand as a parent company, and below that we have maybe
Oh,
one for project and the other line of business.
1001,
Yeah,
1002.
yeah,
Okay. So in that case, you have to make summary as yes and the child as no.
yes, correct.
Okay. But when you give accounting entry, like, in the code combination, you'll use what? The child or the parent?
Child. We can use only
You'll,
child accounts while doing the transaction.
okay.
So parents are mostly used only for the reporting purpose. Like this will ease our reporting thing. Like we don't
Okay, okay,
need
got
to.
it.
Yeah. So that is the purpose of maintaining the parent account.
So how's the weather in Chennai?
Yeah, Chennai as usual hot.
Hot? Okay, I
Yeah.
thought no rains?
No, no rains. I mean, it was like it is drizzling now and then, but no rain actually.
No.
Chennai usually it will be hot actually. So Coimbatore and the other part it will be a bit cold because it's surrounded by hill station and this thing. Like.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think a few years back we went to, I mean, I just went on a tour on just my parents and we went on a tour to the temples.
Okay.
So, I mean, we just went Trichy and everywhere, but it was so nice. It was like uh, greenery everywhere. I didn't think Tamil Nadu looked like that. I thought it was all dry, dry because only Chennai I know. So I thought everywhere is dry.
Maybe from tomorrow I'll do this one. So I'll do the setup and the other things. So I'll just
Mm-hmm.
show this because this is taking too much of time actually. It shouldn't take this much time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe because of internet connection, I believe. So I'll do the setup and I'll explain with setup that whatever I created.
Okay, that's fine. It's okay. I mean, I know anyway for accounting you use the corporate account
Yeah.
for now, just that so that it pulls the. What's at the bottom? It says key flex fail usages, descriptive flex fail usages.
Yeah, it is
Do
just
we
like an
do
information.
we use anything or just it's just like that? It's there for.
No, it is just an information actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you see here the key flex field which says that it is accounting flex field and creates the chart of accounts. It is kind of an information like we can see this
Okay.
implementation.
Mhm. Man, this is really slow.
Yeah, it is too slow actually.
It's okay. I mean, as you said, just fill this up if you can, and then we can do it tomorrow then. If it's taking this long to even open up something.
Okay.
Yeah, finally it did.
Yeah, or else I'll do one thing. So we can do that way also. So I'll fill this up and I'll do the setup and maybe we can see it tomorrow. Like tomorrow we'll have it morning.
Evening, morning, I mean,
Uh,
your
yeah,
morning.
yeah, yes.
Yeah. What time? 7:30, 8:30? Is that your time?
Yeah, 7:30 would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. So we will go for today. So maybe we will start tomorrow.
Okay. Let me, yeah, I'll do that too.
Yeah, tomorrow 7:30 is fine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to be awake. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding. But yeah.
Okay, then we'll see tomorrow.
Okay then.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Send me any notes you have. Otherwise, I'll just, I still have to go through the notes that you sent anyway. So it's
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I'll send you.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.